If it's your
Okay. Uh,
if it's your first time here, welcome. This is Feedback Friday. This is where Tim and I discuss portfolios, resumes, whatever design asset that you typically want to show. We are streaming all of this on YouTube. It is being recorded and streamed live. The caveat there being, if you do want to show us a resume, love taking a look at resumes, but know that your personal information or whatever is on your resume is being shared with the greater world. So if you want to showcase any of that stuff, you'll want to censor any of that sensitive data before we take a look at it. And then Tim and I will keep a look. We'll keep an eye out before we share things. We'll ask for permission along the way. At least we try to. We do this every Friday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then Tim, something for the chat, something that's Tim and I are working on behind the scenes, we are starting to work on getting more guest speakers involved. So we've started that initiative. The benefit there being that if this is your fifth time coming to whatever this review session is for portfolios and resumes, if this is your fifth time, you'll start to get introduced to other potentially challenging opinions and conflicting reviews and hopefully just more knowledge in general. So more benefit for you to keep coming back, even though you've already heard Tim and I speak over and over. Tim, any last words
Over
that
and
I'm
over again.
forgetting to talk about?
We have an intro song that was generously donated to us that I will now play. Enjoy this 12 seconds of an intro to Feedback Friday before we get into the real meat and potatoes, as Nate likes to say. It's Feedback Friday! Turn it up! Press play! We laugh! We learn! We say, welcome to Feedback Friday!
Man, we really leaned into the 90s grunge, huh?
That's what was submitted. All right, let's do it. Who's first on our? Oh, I will add one caveat. And sorry if I'm speaking a little loud. I get energetic. I get excited, guys. Um, we typically do not review products, and so if you have submitted a product to us or a type of like a thing that's live that's meant to generate money for you in terms of like an app or something like that, just know that we may choose to decline to review that kind of thing for the sake of because we just don't have a good enough perspective. We're probably not your target audience, and we also are here mostly to help other designers with their materials for resumes, portfolios, getting hired, etc. Their communication materials rather than providing professional consultation right now. So let's do it. Who's our first person today, Nate?
First on the list is Rainshine. We've spoken with them in the past. I'm excited to see what they're up to now. And then while you're pulling up Rainshine, note that for the chat, we are booked for the day. We had the first few folks come in 15, 20 minutes early. I've got in the fourth, fifth, sixth, I'm sorry, the fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth slots, cloudHi, Rio, Jamal, Observer, and Sachin ready. You guys, I mean, Cloud will probably get to you, but Rio, Observer, and Sachin, we will likely not be able to get to you today. But if you feel like hanging out with us, we'll call you up whenever we get a chance to. If we don't get to you today, feel free to come back following Fridays from now and hang out with us then.
So I think she's joined us, or I'm assuming it's Selena.
Yes.
So hello, rainshine18, aka Selena. Will you go ahead and let us know a little bit about who you are? Just remind us about your context, maybe the industry that you work from, the type of design that you do, and any other details that might help us understand your goals, such as are you trying to get hired? Are you just brushing up on your materials? What are you up to? What do you hope to accomplish today?
Yes, so it's my third time on the stage, and I'm currently looking for a new opportunity. I do mostly B2C for the past couple years, and then in the recent year, I've been doing B2B enterprise tools, and so that's the industry that I want to get into. And yeah, I'm sorry if I missed any other questions, but I think that's pretty much it. My main goal today is to get your eyes on my portfolio and just like look at the portfolio from a hiring manager or even a design peer's perspective, and then hopefully I can get some feedback on how I can improve it more.
Mm, gotcha.
I was multitasking there as I'm taking some notes. Selena, you said the goal was, it sounded like a generalistic overview of your portfolio, not necessarily diving deeply into one specific case study. Is that sounding right?
Yeah, I want to mimic like an actual experience of somebody coming to my portfolio to see what kind of designer I am. So I
Hmm,
don't want to give any type of parameters. I just want you to go in there as a design peer or hiring manager.
got it. Sounds good. And then tell us about the. I hear that you're targeting enterprise. What's the elevation of designer that you're looking to target? Junior, mid, senior, anything like that?
Senior?
Cool.
Very cool. Let's take a look around then.
Senior UX, is that sounding right? Or no, never mind. You have product designer right on the giant letters on your portfolio. I'm good.
I guess I have to make it bigger.
Make the logo bigger.
Okay, okay. So now when we talk about today, there's lots of different ways to look at this. You're our first person, so we are warming up a little bit with you. When we look at this, are you hoping to get more positioning type of feedback, such as your landing page, maybe some of the specific copy about how you market yourself and present yourself? Or are you more looking for us to go through a case study and talk about that case study? Or are you kind of open to just anything and everything we might see?
I think I would like just brief comments on the homepage and then the About Me page. But I would like to do a deep dive into one of my case studies. Um, I'm wondering if I should change the layout one more time, just in terms of like how do I best put my foot. I'll put my best foot forward because I have a really comprehensive and detailed case study, and I just worry that it might not be that captivating to read. And so I do want to dive into that more, but I would like to get some brief feedback on the homepage and About Me page, if possible.
Okay. What would redesigning the layout accomplish, do you think?
I think right now, if you go into one of my case study, it's just very verbose. There's a lot of details, and that's because I want to put my design thinking and my explorations out there. I don't want to save that just for the presentation because I might not even get to that stage. And so I try to pour as much of my rationales and just like how I operate as a designer. But I think the caveat of that is it's just a lot of text. It's a lot to go through. And so I wonder if there's a better way to showcase all of this without being so verbose or just so nitty gritty.
Okay. I Nate will have some opinions about being verbose and detailed and putting aggression on there as well. I'll give the quick some quick context things. So, are you already tracking analytics for your website?
So I actually took a look today. For some reason, some of my case studies are not linked up, so I only have one access to. I only have access to one of the portfolio to the one of the case studies, and so I do have some analytics on the homepage and About Me page, but I don't even know if it's accurate if I'm missing some of the other case studies.
Hmm. Have you, what analytics are you using? Is it Framers, Google's?
Yeah, Google Analytics. That's linked up to my framer. I think I have an optimization issue right now, and maybe that's what's causing the GA to not link up properly.
Okay. Have you ever heard of something called post hoc?
Postdoc, no.
Okay. Okay, cool. So before you go into layouts, one thing that's important to remember is that your portfolio is a product. Uh, the
Mm.
product it's trying to sell, though, is of course Selena, and it's about how Selena is the greatest product designer of all time. And so you have kind of two main goals, which is one, create a trust funnel and trust ladder here on your main page that lets people decide Selena is worth my time. I'm now going to take an action, a CTA here, that signifies I trust Selena a little bit and I want her product. And now I need help deciding which product to look at. And when I click into this product, it needs to have the right information that speaks to the audience that I am and helps me understand. So uh, I am going to lean on the side of I suspect that most of this is already set up in a correct way. I would forego making big changes, big layout changes, until you have more analytics or data that support that decision. One of those tools you can use is called, let's see, it's called, I don't think I'm logged in on this particular account. It's called PostHog. PostHog is a great tool though that helps you with analytics and data. It basically it creates a fake version of your website on their side, and it's able to use tracker markers to replay the way people spend time on your app or your website in this case. And so if you had PostHog, you could identify essentially, are people maybe getting halfway through your website, like halfway through a case study? Is there a particular area that they're spending more time? Are they reading things fully? Where the drop off points are, and that might help you decide, should I go shorter or should I go longer? My personal opinion, though, is that having lots of information being detailed, having great analytical thinking and reasoning showcased here is a strength to lean into, and not necessarily something to shorten. Although your data may show otherwise if you had analytics to back that up.
I
Nate, I
see.
want to I want to hand off to you a little bit here. If you want to talk about, since it sounds like we're mostly talking about case studies today, if you have some insights you want to do as we get into this case study for Carvana's new app to fix a broken workflow.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things I want to talk about here. Selena, pleasure talking with you again. Now, I remember some of our conversation in the past and hearing that you're attempting to target senior level enterprise. I think there are a couple, I think you're doing a lot of stuff really well here. I hesitate to come up with an argument for why layouts need to change, particularly in the case study. Homepage, I have less opinion on, but your case study, or at least your first case study with cars, is looking fantastic. Did we talk last time about navigating storytelling through your titles?
We did,
Okay.
and I made the updates.
They look solid. The only one that I think is potentially conflicting is the one Tim is highlighting right now, new app to fix a broken workflow. I would just remove like new app in this case, resolving the workflow for 600 truck drivers, something like that. No need to, we can talk about the new app, but you've got like tags on your case studies. I would focus more on the title being the hook and then the tags being the descriptors.
I see. Okay.
But like
Or
oh, go ahead.
using some more intense product language, like new app can be a little bit generic if you want to talk about like additional uh, product productization, right? Use some more fancy terms. I hate saying that, but like using something that maybe speaks a little more to the business or product side, basically increasing the vernacular here of describing what a new app is by distilling that into something that's a little bit more specific, may also give you the better leverage here, right? Because when you put new app on stuff, new app is could mean so many things. Instead, you're going to say we're just adding an additional like product here, or basically increasing the surface area for our current product to fix broken workflows.
Gotcha.
In regard to elevation, I think you are well equipping yourself to be positioned as a senior level role. I think that I've got a couple of things written down here, but they're all optimization strategies. I don't see that there's any paramount thing that you need to do to resolve a particular problem just yet. I think I recall talking last time. You have flows that are within, I don't know what to call them. They're not images, but these visual sections have tabs. Tim, scroll down a bit and you'll find a user flow. Keep going down. Keep going. User flow is apparently a bad descriptor. There we are. And this section has tabs within it. And I remember talking about them. I'm fearful that folks aren't going to find the tabs, specifically because the majority of folk are just skimming and scrolling. And I don't think many of them are going to recognize there's more data behind there. Tim, any challenges with that thought? Where my mind is going is I think I would want to expand that section and just show all three of them rather than hiding them behind tabs.
I actually think I'll take the opposite perspective. I do think that this is an adequate display because it is embedded already behind lots of reading sections. So for me, for reasonably, if I'm already this far down, I'm probably already pretty engrossed in the reading of it. And I would understand to click here. I did click through this when I was skimming this when I was going through here.
I did too.
Although I also would say that this is not unvaluable by itself too, right? So I think risking a little bit of noise by making it look like there's three of the same thing, versus having differentiation inside of a tool here. I think this shows a little bit of technical skill inside of Framer, like building this out, and I think it's okay. So I of course understand exactly where Nate's coming from, and I would probably agree with that if there weren't so many visuals already throughout here. Uh, I see both ways, I guess.
Yeah, Selena, I don't have a strong opinion on removing those from one element to three elements. I also clicked through them immediately. Did you have, I'm trying to recall, did you have a different visual style of those tabs several times ago that were, did I complain about that last time we
You
talked?
did. You did. I think last time it was darker color and I had a lot more than just that one. And so you just saw the same pattern appearing over and over again. And I
Mm,
think that's where your gripe was. So since then, I've flattened it a little bit more. But I did want to keep the flows in tabs just because it's basically me choosing one of them to move forward with. And so I didn't want to show all three of them because they're not all
mm.
relevant. And so that's the reason why I made that choice. But I did remove the other ones where I deemed it as unnecessary.
Got it. Okay. So you're ahead of me there. Then the only other thing I've got written down that I think is worth talking about for elevation purposes is just some high level housekeeping stuff at the very top. The the first question I'm looking to ask is what's the problem you're trying to solve? And you've got that in the overview. I would just contemplate adding just a breaking your overview up into two sections maybe and having another title that just says the problem. Just so it's really easy for me to find what that problem is. And then in that section, also include impact. You've got impact at the very bottom. Feel free to tease that up at the very top. That'll be good for folk who don't review the entire case study, like recruiters, for example, are often just looking at the housekeeping stuff. So being able to communicate to recruiters that you've got impact analysis and metrics involved, really helpful for building that senior level elevation.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that was one of the thing that I was contemplating. I wanted to add a summary section where I can talk about the problem, the challenge, the impact, and the final solution. Do you think that would be a good solution to the problem that I'm trying to fix?
I like the mindset of it, provided that you're talking about just including those in that hero section.
Yeah, something like a highlight or summary section where I can kind of distill all of that down into one package, and maybe I can create some kind of visual asset to convey that instead of just relying on text.
Love that idea. Yeah, the hero section conveying just a here's a quick TLDR Spark Notes version of the entire case
Mhm.
study that can be displayed on one screen. Love the idea of teasing the rest of the case study that way.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Cool. The only you're doing a lot of stuff well here when it comes to senior level and higher elevated folks attempting to position themselves. The hurdles I typically see is that they're more tactical and less strategic. You've already got a bunch of sections that I would look for in senior level sections. So you've got impact already, but you also have like stakeholder management sections. You're talking about navigating stakeholders and structures. So I think you're doing a lot of stuff here correctly. I don't have any other optimizations for you in regard to this specific case study. Tim, how you feeling? Do you want to keep talking about the case study, or shall we go up one elevation to like homepage and about shenanigans just at high level?
Yeah, I want to reiterate that before you do any layout changes, focus on elevating each individual piece first, because I
Mm.
think that your layout generally here, and I think most people will agree. If anyone disagrees, put it in the chat. Let us know. But I think everyone would agree that this it already looks. It's a good presentation. From a UI perspective, it looks very clean, very good. It's not overwhelming with information. It has a good balance of description to images. Now it's just about, does this section actually communicate value? And some of the places I'm looking, just like Nate said, in this overview, you have a great like little problem. You have a little bit of, you're talking about how it's hard to use. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about like the cost for Carvana if you have any business metrics here. You talk about you did this, but you are missing in here the impact and the outcome of this whole thing. So this would be a great little moment to say like, we were able to achieve this, or we estimate that our app solves this problem. Something here where you're able to quickly identify what actually happens as a result of this, just so I can get the full span of information here. And then
Yeah.
another thing is you have on here, you have our goals, business, and then the user. And I love that you have the Carvana image here because this is iconic. This is obviously part of like the brand here. But this information is completely lost. The goals, business, user, this information is all completely lost. So I
I
would just create a little
completely,
of a different section.
I completely didn't notice it.
Oh.
Yeah, I would move this to a section maybe underneath it or somewhere by it. So you can keep this imagery here. I think it's a good little like little bookend to kind of have this to remind people what brand it's on. And then what I'm missing, I think, is some of the language of your sections here. They are descriptive. They're not quite selling you though. That is, as I read this, I'm learning a lot about Carvana and I'm learning a lot about process, and I'm not seeing a lot of ownership. So I would love to have this maybe reframed in the sense of remembering that Selena is the product that we want to communicate and sell from her case study. I want to see Selena embedded inside of all this. We have some of it, like I gather requirements, edge cases, but even here, like this could be a better, this might be a better title for this here. Like I designed one flow that scales for 6 trip types, right? So we have more ownership. I designed, right? And then we have like understanding how drivers actually work in the field. Like I like led user research to understand how drivers actually work in the field. Something here that leads a little bit less like a blog and a little bit more about like Selena's actual ownership of each part of this and how she is the person who, at least the person who's important right now, because this is Selena's portfolio, and so we get to read it from Selena's perspective and seeing that communicated. And then the last thing I'll say is that for the most part, all of your visuals are very clean looking, except when it comes to this top navigation bar in a couple of places. And I hate to nitpick here, but since you are very much like showing this, you're putting it in my face. There's just a couple times where the UI I think suffers because it cuts off in a very weird way at the top here. And so I would recommend maybe going back to your visual assets and either just chopping out this top part so we don't have it, or cleaning this up so it looks a little bit more realistic. You've either got to go more into the realism or you've got to step back out of the realism. But either way, this is it's a little bit of it just automatically makes the rest of the UI a little bit less professional, a little bit less complete looking because of this small little artifact, the way it's cutting here.
That's great. Thank you guys so much.
Tim, this portfolio is a good reminder. We have to come up with some sort of, I don't know what to call it, like the best portfolios list that we've reviewed in all of our Feedback Fridays. I don't know what that title of that list is called, but Selena, this portfolio is great. There are certainly like nitpicks here and there that we can talk about, but this would go on my list of best portrayed portfolios that we would often link to other folk trying to build theirs. I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Tim, you want to?
And remember, before making any big changes, elevate each piece because what's more important than having a very cool, nice, pristine looking look is the communication words that you're using, especially in an AI age where someone might come to your website and just ask their AI agent to say, hey, tell me about Selena. Is Selena better compared to this other person? Having the information clearly communicatable and visible also helps a lot. And I'll say this because I tell this to everyone. I don't necessarily disagree with your implementation here of having these appear on hover, but if I was an AI agent and I had to take a screenshot of this page, or if I was looking at these and I wanted to compare them all together, I'm unable to compare all of these at the same time. And therefore, I'm having a harder time making a choice about where to spend my time. When I might want to be able to look at these quickly and say, I'm not building a 0 to 1 project, but I am building something that needs to be redesigned. So therefore, I should click on this project versus this one to get the lens I really want to see from Selena. So, if you can make it easier as a user for the users to make a choice to spend their time in the right way and helping them like have an informed opinion, that'll be great. And you need a mobile version. That's really important. A lot of people look at websites through the mobile web, a shocking amount of them. As you set up a PostHog, which there is PostHog for Framer, you can go ahead and at me or send me a message in Discord later if you want help setting up PostHog for Framer. But once you set this up, you'll start to see how many people are actually looking at your website through their phones, and it can be a little bit upsetting, honestly. It can be very upsetting, but nonetheless, undeniably true.
I'm pulling up my Google Analytics just to see if I can quickly see how many people are on mobile. Selena, I was going to say the exact same thing Tim just did. The hover states on your case studies are more effective at communicating which ones are more important to review. I would just cut out the static state and replace it with your current hover state, thus also solving some of your mobile difficulties of hover states not being a thing. So, yeah, your hover states are great. I don't remember how to get. Oh, tech. Wait, we're fine. Overview. Looks like mobile from my website is. Oh my gosh. It's like 40%. Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh boy, is correct. Okay. Thank you so much for your time today, Selena. We look forward to seeing you again in the future, or just reaching out, letting us know if you need help with postdoc. It's a delight to set up, and also, again, it can be a little bit of a disappointing thing to learn about how people are actually abusing your website, which you set up so carefully and with great craft. So
I'll get on the mobile view right now. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate the time.
yeah.
All right, next on the list, Tim, we've got Krishna, whose username is spelled with a space between each letter.
like Krishna. Something like that.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome, Krishna. We're happy to have you here. Will you tell us a little bit about who you are, what kind of design you do, and then if there's any industry-specific items for yourself, such as if you're working as at a fintech, medical, maybe you're more on the crypto side. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what kind of work you're doing, and then help us get the context that we need to accomplish any of your goals today.
Sure. So I am Krishnansh, a passionate design student with hands-on experience in UI UX design. Over the past few years, I have worked on multiple freelance projects like UX, social media creatives, interior design concepts, branding, and logo design. These experiences have shaped me to develop a strong sense of visual storytelling. I am currently working on a company project that is set to launch soon in India, and I have joined this stage to gain valuable feedback and refine it further. So this is a Boomcar, a car rental platform that allows users to book vehicles with or without driver, offering flexibility for different travel needs, daily commute, business travel, weekend trips, or family outings.
Hey, Krishna,
That's it.
super appreciate you giving the context there. We don't need to know much about the product itself. We're more worried about what your individual goals are and what the friction points you're trying to solve are. So I'm hearing that you're a student and you've got a goal of just some feedback on this particular case study. What's the problem you're trying to solve? Are you applying for jobs right now, for example?
Yeah, actually, in my college there are two companies are coming, that is Infosys and Myntra, so I'm preparing for that.
Got it. So I'm hearing, let me repeat that back to you and then you can correct me where I'm wrong. I'm hearing this case study is for your student work. Priority 1 is getting a good grade in the class. Priority 2 is positioning yourself to apply for jobs in the near future.
No, I am trying to get a good job in future, so that's why I am here.
No student constraints whatsoever.
Ah, no.
Cool. And then I'm hearing entry level design student. Do you have a strong opinion on UX, UI product, anything like that?
Yeah, actually, I'm still an entry level student, but I have worked for a freelance in UI UX.
Got it. So it sounds like you've got a goal of entering the market with entry level UX, UI.
Yeah, I have worked for small individuals, but I am planning to do job in a big capital company like Accenture, Infosys, etc.
Got it. That was my next question. So less on freelance and more on full-time employment at an organization somewhere.
Yeah.
Excellent. Tim, any questions that I'm forgetting to ask?
I have some concerns. I'm not sure when we're going to address some of these concerns, but We will do our best to support you today and to give the feedback that we can. But well, let me just get this out of the way. I would love to know, just being super candid here, how much of this is just AI generated?
Nothing, because this is a company project. I cannot be use AI tools here. The content is real, but the images like you see in the cover page is AI generated because I don't know still about the mockups, like how to create mockups, etc.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with using AI to assist in asset creation when it's supporting you. I'm really concerned though, because as I look through all of it, it almost all looks AI generated. Like there's almost nothing in here I would look at and say, yeah, that's probably not AI generated. Like almost every single bit of it. What program did you create this slide deck inside of?
The images you are seeing, I have picked it from free pick, not use AI for that. And the content I have used here is taken after permissions from the company. See, I know the data we can show is must be visually appealing so that the user must be engaged with the data. So that's why I've used more visuals than the textual data. And the most important thing is that the companies are more into process oriented than the output oriented. That's why I have used visual engaging appealing illustrations instead of putting just text and all that.
Okay. Well, let's talk really quickly then about our Behance caveat, which is Behance is a platform that serves Adobe, and it's important to remember that Behance will not serve you. So if we're here on Krishna's, is that how we say your name, by the way? I'm so sorry, I forgot to
Yeah, no problem. You
ask. Is
can call
that
me Krishna.
okay? Krishna. Well, one thing to remember is that Behance wants to give Adobe money. As you can see here, that Behance is slated to keep people on Behance website and to sign up for Adobe stuff. So if we look here, we have a bunch of Adobe tools. We've got a bunch of Adobe tools over here, more of this down here. And we're going to recognize that anytime I want to, like I can even dismiss this, just keep in mind that this platform is designed to serve itself, not necessarily serve you. And so in terms of storytelling power for getting a full-time job, keep in mind that you may find yourself a little bit on the short end because it will always try to help people find something on Behance, even if it's not you. So if Behance thinks you're the wrong person, it's not going to help you very much. Uh, that is something to remember. So you may get more power from creating your own website where you can control more of the narrative and help people get a little bit more immersed. The other thing is that this does aesthetically look very nice in a scroll experience. It's a little bit crowded looking, but when you're looking at it from a slide experience, a lot of these slides are already cut off a little bit, and that does give a certain sort of uh, a feeling or a context, and just something to kind of watch out for, and how you show this information. Additionally, because it's all images and no text, some of it is a little bit hard to scan or quickly get through. Like if I wanted to Control F uh, and look at like our research section, you can see that I am not going to be able to find certain sections I'm looking for, and I'll get lost in more of the Adobe side. I did not even realize how much Adobe stuff there was underneath this. Look at this whole section at the bottom dedicated to this. Nate, where where do you want to go with this for Krishna today?
Krishna, I love a lot of the things that you've done here. My mind is in an in an awkward place, and I don't know how to best describe it. So let me work through my vocabulary here and see if I can figure out how to best communicate some of my thoughts here. Let me first say you've got a lot of cool stuff here. If we look at the content, the actual writing itself, you're telling a story here and utilizing a lot of the sections I would want to see in a case study. If we look at the content beyond that of just the type, where my mind is now is similar. I think Tim and I have similar apprehensions about I got it. Let me word this in a different way. The content of this case study isn't the hurdle for me. It's because it's because there's a lot of AI generation built into this. Where my struggle is now is trusting the data. It feels like it's something that has had a lot of assistance along the way through AI use, and there's nothing wrong with AI use, except in this particular case, it's lowering my trust on where your skill set ends and the AI skill set begins. I just don't know where that delineation is. And because of that, I don't know if it passes the check for validating that you would be a candidate that I would want to speak with. And I think the resolution here is fairly straightforward. I think we just lean away from, like, you've written all the content, all the content here looks nice. I think we just lean away from the AI aesthetic of it and we remove you from Behance and we build a personal site of some kind. Really easy things to say on paper. Let me pause there. How are you feeling about that feedback so far? Is that making sense? Am I wording that correctly?
Yeah, I understand what you mean to say, but I want to use AI to make images. I just putting data to AI so that I can create visually appealing images from that. Don't you think it is a right idea?
Yes, I do. And I really like utilizing AI for storytelling in most context. Actually, the section that Tim's got right here is a good example of this. Tim, scroll up slightly so we can see the first box here. So if we take a look at this 58%, we can see that the visual artifact of this feels like the metric itself is AI designed. So it's like we can, that's an asset that you don't need AI generation for. You can build that asset in Figma. So the fact that the metric itself is AI generated is what's leading me to have less trust in the actual case study itself. It feels like you're generating the entire case study through AI when that isn't the case.
And the quality of these assets, yeah, everywhere, even if it was not age generated, I would still call out because we have like bad shadowing here. It's very pixelated. If you look at this user's pause before booking, it has a very pixelated look to it. It's a little bit inconsistent with itself in different places, even though it's like a very similar asset here. Um, there's just some things here that even the quality of these assets, I just it raises some flags here. I'm curious. You said that you cannot generate these assets yourself. What is the role that you're trying to get hired for?
I want to be a lead designer. My main goal is to be lead designer, but still I'm trying to get a um, junior designer role in an industry.
Gotcha. Okay, so we're looking at you would like to be a designer. Is that a UX designer, a product designer, a graphic designer?
No, no, UX designer.
Okay, okay. Nate, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think my advice to Christian is that you cannot become an effective UX designer if you have to use AI to generate every single asset here. There's definitely times to use AI to increase the way you're able to ideate with assets and being able to find new ways to share assets. But all of this stuff, if I was going to hire a UX designer, even a junior UX designer, I would expect them to be able to create at least a lot of this by hand using tools like Figma or Canva, even or even PowerPoint, being able to put together certain slide pieces and not have to rely on image generation tools to put text in content next to generated assets.
I would take a
Let
slight.
me tell you
Oh,
one
go ahead.
thing. Like I have meet trainers from the Accenture like companies, and they told us to that we can produce for the whole data through AI because they don't want that we lag behind because just we are at hand on things or the real good data. If we know AI tools better than anyone, we can use them in a proper way to show the data. Because like if I'm going for a research, to a UX research, I'm meeting a very few people in a very less time. Yeah, sure, it give me a biased data, but with the help of AI, I can get a lot more data with an unbiased content. Still, I know the importance of that. How should I differentiate my data with an AI data? That's why I only used AI to generate images. Rest I did myself.
Totally understand your motivation and mindset. It sounds like you're using some AI to reply back to us right now. Or are we having? Are you assisting in? Is there a communication hurdle, and you're utilizing AI to assist in communication?
This communication.
Well, I was asking because it sounds like you're replying back to us utilizing an AI uh, to more effective your communication and rhetoric. And no need to. You totally. Uh, I don't know. I don't. I don't know how to interact with it. I guess is what it boils down to. Krishna. The long story short is the target audience for your case study are that of hiring managers and recruiters, and then other peers as well. Those folks will likely pin out the AI as being potentially deceptive in areas. I love the ability to utilize AI for some of your visual assets, like just the graphics and the imagery, the illustrations. Have no qualms with utilizing AI for something like that. The building the slides and then uh, utilizing an application like Figma to build out this deck, I would expect that to be you would have the ability to manually achieve something like that. In its current tense, you may have the ability to do that. I just don't trust it because it looks like all of it's AI generated. Is that making sense?
You're right, I got your point.
I think you've got the skill set. I think you're doing a lot of things correctly. It's just the delivery here that's freaking me out, which is great because it's an easy solution. We would just remove some of the AI from the visual projection of this process. We would just remove some AI from the output here, and we just rebuild some of these assets in something like Figma, which is like you, that's the main actionable. There's no like deep thinking there. There's no processing that you have to do. It's just rebuilding some of these without the use of AI, and then I think my trust hurdles go away. Tim, is that where your mind is at?
Yeah, it's Krishna, when you're on the internet, you don't get the opportunity to explain yourself, which is a pain, but also like it's just a constraint that is. Like if I landed on Boomcar here beforehand, and I had never talked to you, I wouldn't ever like I wouldn't have the chance for you to explain about how this data is real. The way it appears to me is the way it exists in my mind as a user. And so if it looks AI generated to me as a user, then therefore in my mind it is, regardless of whether or not it is. And so right now the appearance of it being so AI generated is diminishing the value that you have and the skills, the talent that you might have inherently because of the appearance of one thing over the other. And I think that either means that you need to vastly increase the quality of these AI generated assets, right? Like this as an asset would need to be radically improved, or showcasing the skill you have to manually do some of this, even if you are following the pattern an AI gave you. But at the end of the day, like just the way it looks does not it's not communicating a lot of trust to where I want to hire or trust someone. But Krishna, I'll offer this too. When I come to Krishna's website and our portfolio, I want to probably buy Krishna. I don't want to buy Boomcar, although Boomcar does sound very cool. I just like the idea of a car that goes boom. Like it's just kind of like a fun idea. Um, but inside this case study, I don't see a lot of Krishna represented. I remember this is feedback we gave previously, right? Like this is a great case study about Boomcar. If maybe I was selling Boomcar, but I'm trying to sell Krishna, and I don't see Krishna inside of this case study for Boomcar. Hardly at all. Like it's mostly the thing about like the problem with Boomcar stuff, a goal of Boomcar, the product context for Boomcar, and I'm not seeing where you are inside of this. And if you were going to go through and edit this, that's one thing I'd be looking for, is to see specifically when you hire for a UX designer or anyone, you want to see one what their skills are, but also what their thinking is, what their process is, and then where they are in execution. And I don't know exactly where you are in the execution or the creation of all this. I'm just seeing a concept here uh, that concepts, ideas are not nearly as valuable as they used to be because of the proliferation of AI and how AI can create coherent ideas and essentially problem solution statements. But the value would be in how you execute that and how you have lived it and done it. And I'm not seeing you inside of it yet. So, as you revisit this, if you choose to revisit this, remember, we're just two guys. You don't have to listen to us if you don't want to. But if you do revisit this, that would be one of my suggestions for content is making sure that you write yourself into the story and that, the actions that you've taken, how you've represented the company, like how you got the data, your reasoning, your rationale is reflected inside of this.
Right, I have a question for you guys. Like, I am building my Framer website. I'm do prioritizing that website before this Behance. Like, I want to showcase a preview of this data onto Framer, then I will redirect the user to the Behance. Is that correct thing I'm doing right now, or should I change my plan?
Your plan is, you said you're building this on Framer and you want to showcase this data. Tell me more about that just for a second.
Like, for example, let me tell you practically. You are a company manager and I'm the student who is applying. Alright, so I will send you my Framer website. And when you will open my Framer website, you will get a preview of the boom car. It is not the complete data that I'm putting in my website. You will just give a preview. And if you want to have to read on a full data, you can visit my Behance. I will put a link to that Behance.
Mm.
So like I'm giving more priority to my Framer website instead of the Behance. So is that the correct thing
Right.
I'm doing right now, or should I go with the Behance only?
I'd go the other way around, actually. I would say your Behance should send people to Framer, and Framer should keep people on Framer because you can own that Framer website and the experience a little bit more, right? Like the longer I'm on the Behance website, the more likely I am to say like, oh, let me find someone else who did Boomcar, right? Uh, and now I've like, even though I started on your website, I might go somewhere else. I might go over to this guy for Boomcar, right? And so I do think that there's kind of a risk anytime you're on Behance that the platform wants me to use Behance for Adobe, not for Krishna. Whereas if I go to someone's Framer website, like here, we're just back on Selena's website, uh, I'm going to stay here because there's nowhere else to go. And anything I click here is telling a story about Selena and about how cool of a designer she is. Versus here, there's like so many ways for me to like accidentally get lost or go do something else, or accidentally find another person to hire. So I would, if you can, I don't think you need to necessarily remove Boomcar from Behance, but if you're going to build a Framer website, make sure that your Behance points people there, and lets you control the narrative and the experience a little bit more for people who are experiencing your stuff.
I've got two yes ands to this. Your website should outdate all potential benefits of Behance. Your website's just superior in every way, and we can dive more into that. But the quick answer is your website's just more effective at all of the things. The second mindset is we've got a phrase in the United States, eating your own dog food. The hurdle is UX design is a skill set that enables you to launch and build products. And you having the ability to build your own website showcases you have some foundational knowledge in UX. Having just a Behance, I'm fearful that having just a Behance doesn't pass the barometer of this person is beyond entry level into UX. Having your own website hits that marker. Totally build your own site and then leave Behance behind eventually.
Yeah, I got your point.
Krishna, appreciate talking with you. Really appreciate you having the courage to come up here and chat with us today.
Yeah, I will surely do.
Cool. Next on the list, Tim, we've got Vero. They're out there somewhere. Vero, raise your hand if you're out there.
I'll find them real quick. Vero, come on up to the stage.
Got him.
Hello.
Vero, tell us a little bit about who you are, what we should call you as well, other than just the goose. Got a lovely little goose here, and then anything you can share about your industry, such as your specific skills, what kind of design you focus on, and so on.
Yeah, so hi guys. My name is Veronica, and I'm currently on my last year at university. I'm studying at UC Santa Cruz, and Well, for the past 4 years, I've been kind of like going through different projects and just like learning about product design and also UX UI design. Currently, I'm in a club that I'm currently leading two projects. So I was in this club last year, and we were building projects, or we were building like a website for nonprofits and trying to provide them software that could help them enhance and also find more people in their community to help out. So, yeah, currently this year, a lot of me have just been, I've been doing a lot of management this year. Last year, I was doing way more design. So this year, it's kind of a different, style. But I'm also so I've been doing UX UI design. I've also been doing a little bit of research. I'm trying to get my hands on a little bit of user research. So I'm in a lab as well, trying to get that experience.
Congratulations on final
Okay,
year of
cool.
UC Santa Cruz. What a beautiful
Thank you.
campus.
Yes, yes, yes. It's very green over here.
Yeah, for those unfamiliar with UC Santa Cruz, they built a college, they built a university in the forest, and they leaned into the forest heavily, and it's beautiful.
Okay, so Veronica, today, as we talk about your goals or what we want to accomplish, we can spend some time on your positioning, which will include maybe a little bit about your landing page, maybe getting into an about page, some of your strategies, some of the way you're marketing yourself, or we can dive headfirst into a case study and really dig apart a case study, of course, with the best
um,
intentions. I would love to know what you would find most valuable for yourself, knowing that there will certainly be value in both of them.
yeah, I think both of them sounds good. I'm trying to, yeah, also see if I can land a position within a year after graduating. So, any feedback is really helpful. I think, yeah, since right now I'm kind of scattered all over the place with like the different types of roles I could take on. So, yeah, a little bit of everything.
Okay. Okay. Nate, do you want to start, or shall I start?
I think we talk high level. I think we talk about target audiences for the first time this stream. Veronica, we've
Take it
got
away.
3 target audiences that we typically. Well, let me ask you: have you been to these feedback Fridays before? Have you already heard our spiel around target audience?
I only attended once, like 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
So yeah,
cool. Yeah, so
not much. I don't remember.
I'll happily talk about it again. If it sounds redundant, feel free to just tell me, Nate, move on. I've heard all of this before. Three common target audiences that we build portfolios for. We've got recruiters, hiring managers, and then a third one that we call future peers until we come up with a better name for it. Recruiters are folk who don't have a deep understanding into what you do or what your skill sets are. So their strategies are typically look at job description A, look at product designer A, and then see what Venn diagram of key phrases match on both of those things. And when it comes to recruiters, a couple of high level things we can do to assist in their flow. You're already doing a bunch of it already. You've got case studies as like the first thing on your homepage. You scroll down, case studies, bam. By far the most important asset of your portfolio, and you are showcasing it very quickly, which is the right call. Scrolling up to the value prop section here. I mean, this isn't bad. So we've got, for recruiters, you immediately describe what you do, though Tim and I will argue you're attempting to position yourself as 3 different titles when ideally we would choose one. So we can talk about that too. We would then, after that, look for some sort of value prop. Now, value prop, Tim, we haven't chatted about this much, but I've been working on a thing to enable folk to better like write a value prop with a little bit more ease. The value prop, the goal of the value prop is to cleanly state to whomever's looking at your portfolio who you are, what you do, what target audience you have, and then why they should hire you, aka what's the benefit that that target audience receives when they hire you. And the more strict you can be with that value prop, the more capable and the better positioned you end up being for getting that entry level job into the market. So let me give you an example here. At the moment, the value prop we have here, the statement that we have here is rooted in cognitive science, driven by curiosity. And I love this. I love the first part, rooted in cognitive science. You're already describing a differentiator lots of marketing impact there. So the hurdle now is, let's say your goal is to get hired at some entry level job, but you don't have a target audience in mind. So it's like, hey, I'll just take any job that's open to the market. You're now an entry level candidate, launching yourself toward a market that is, there are lots of designers. There's a high supply of designers with a low supply of jobs. So you're kind of like entering the rat race if your goal is to be generalistic and target all the industries. But now let's say, oh, my name's Veronica. I'm a cognitive science that is very specifically designing websites for dentists with the e-commerce platforms attached, whatever the example is, right? So now you launch yourself into that market, and now when that particular job becomes available, there are far fewer jobs you can apply for, but you outbid everybody for that job. So you're now top of the candidate list for getting that entry level job. Half of the books behind me are in marketing. My background is in marketing. Every marketing book ever will argue that focusing down and narrowing down your niche is the better, more effective way to get that entry level job. Let me pause there. How you feeling about that so far?
Yeah, I think I think that's definitely something that I should probably be working for. Yeah, because I still, yeah,
Cool.
I think, yeah, that sounds good.
Love the mindset. Really, what all I've said is really easy to say on paper. Now you've got the quandary of like, well, what do I want to target? And that's a really hard question to answer. So Tim and I are going to work on like a way to make that an easier decision point. But in the meantime, leaning into your differentiators, like your background in cognitive science, the more you can lean into your differentiation, the more impactful and better positioned you'll end up being. So lean heavily into those as much as you can. There are other things I want to talk about in regard to recruiters and hiring managers, but that means we'll pivot to a case study. Before we do, Tim, how you feeling about the homepage so far? Anything you want to talk about homepage wise?
Yeah, so I one thing that's important to remember is that you are using animation on this page, and I love it. We love interaction, we love animation. But one of the key goals of animation is to help tell people where to look, and it's to get their attention. And if you notice that when I load this page, we have multiple animations firing off at the same time at roughly the same speed, but in different places. And this is going to create a split problem of I'm not sure where to look. Also, because of the left-sided preference for people to look at things and the way movement's happening, I actually read product designer and UX designer first, and then I look at featured projects because that's where the animation is, which leaves me no time to experience your value prop here or to really even look at you, which is really important because Veronica is a product here that we're experiencing. We want to see Veronica. We want to see where she is, who she is. We want to get a sense for personality. There's also so much lovely design here, like as a composition. But because the information is so split up, we're missing the connection of that experience. And instead, we get to experience it kind of in split fashions. So I would recommend reduce the attention grabbing that you have going on to kind of help people focus on one thing at a time. And maybe that means you have, you put these in the same place. Like I was just experimenting with, like if these happen to be in a very nearby adjacent generation zone, or even stacked one on top of the other, except if I do that, it'll disappear forever. It'll just go away. But if you were to stack these, right, you help users with the idea of experiencing one, the information of who you are, which is something that's really valuable and unique. There's only one Veronica who looks like this. And so this is like a really important value differentiator for yourself. And then it also helps people remember who you are. That's really important too. And so there's just a lot of value in having this, but right now the way it's treated, it's definitely a little bit lost. And the journey of my eyes is also a little bit tiring. There's a great article from Baymard called Line Readability. And this is actually, they did this in 2022, but this is actually more about like the amount of room someone likes to look at for a grouped category in general. And so if you look at this, and I don't know if it's actually this is actually 75 pixels or not. But when you look at like the distance between an object, like the container of an object, this is kind of the ideal experience for human eyes based on traditional distance from a computer screen. And so this prevents me from having like the like having to turn my whole head. So this lets me flick my eyes from one end to the other relatively comfortably. And you can see right here, we are missing that experience. Like this this happens to be this is already 250 apart, but then from one end, from this end all the way to the other, like this P to here, is quite far, right? So that is that's a large distance there. So this doesn't have the sense of continuity that we might want it to for effective storytelling here. And then just to add to what Nate was talking about, your value prop, exploring maybe some options for you, right? A lead with that rooted in cognitive science, driven by curiosity. Nothing wrong with that, but we need to differentiate. Your previous experience is an awesome differentiator, but these logos, I could be dumb. I don't know what these logos are, and I imagine
Yeah.
probably most people won't know who these are. So you can just list them out. You know, put their names in there. Let their names build some of your credibility here. You know, lean on them, and then include something that you're very good at, or something that like can start to characterize a little bit about who you focus on and how you do this. Now you can write this last, like helping SaaS with churn reduction, product user fit. Um, Lean into whatever your case studies are, right? If this is the work you want to do. But what's even better is if you already know the kind of work that you want to do, include this here as your lens. And this will tell people by what measuring stick they should read and measure Veronica by. It
Okay.
also tells people right away who, like, if you're the right person for this. Like if I'm looking at a generic UX designer, like anyone, if I was looking at any generic UX designer, then I compare it to Veronica, but Veronica specifically focuses on the same problem that I'm trying to solve. I'm probably going to pick Veronica because I know that she is a little more cognizant and aware of the specific type of problem. You have to be careful of this, right? If you get too niche, then you will find people pass you up because you focus on a different problem that they want. But also, this lets you control who you work for a little bit more and the type of people who are measuring your skills. So that would be my insight to yes and what Nate was talking about earlier.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like my worry was always like maybe if I'm too specific, I might miss out on like other opportunities. But I think this sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, you can include maybe one or two. I think you could probably get away with like three if you really wanted to. So churn reduction, maybe like user conversion, right?
Hmm.
But you'll find that once you start using I can spell conversion at me. When you start using product language inside of here, this gives you a lot more credibility because you know the lingo, you know the terminology. But you also find that a lot of people experience these problems, like a lot of people. And this also kind of tends to talk about like what kind of team do you want to be on? Like a team that's focused on user conversion probably is going to be a little bit larger and more like mature than say a team that's going zero, that's going from zero to actually don't know what arrow key is the arrow. Oh, there it is. You know, building 0 to 1, right, is different in team composition from people working on user conversion. And one of these will lean towards a certain audience, the other one will lean toward a different audience. And once you know which audience you're trying to appeal to and you have skills for, you can choose which one you want to go for.
Okay.
Let me talk to that mindset really fast because Veronica, I love the mindset you're coming from.
Mhm.
I don't want to make my niche too specific because then I lose opportunities elsewhere. So let's challenge that real fast. Let's say you write in your value prop here, I design websites for dentists. There's a niche, and we can get even more niche than that. So then a website, somebody comes along and says, I need to hire somebody that makes websites for attorneys. I can't hire Veronica because she focuses on dentists. She's the wrong person. So you've lost that opportunity. So now your reaction might be, well, let me adjust my value prop to be more generalized. I build websites. Now that attorney comes along and they say, well, let me look at all the people building websites. Veronica builds websites, but then Jim builds websites for attorneys. So you still get outbidded by somebody who's more specific in that niche than you. Either way, you lose the opportunity. So it's better to position yourself for something. It's better position yourself for a particular target than generalize in the entire industry. How you feeling about that so far?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think I feel good so far.
Cool stuff. Tim, you ready to dive into a case study? And Veronica, we don't have the time to dive in depth into a case study. I just think we should talk about some high level, like some overarching high level themes, and then if you want to dive more in depth, come back to another Friday and we'll dive deeper. Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds good.
I want to really quickly just acknowledge the about page. This about
Hmm.
page is awesome. Anyone looking for an about page can look at Veronica's about page. It is perfect at adding a little bit more information about her, talking about her why she does stuff, and then some of the what and who she is. This is a great, excellent professional about page. And there may be some wins that can still be had, but like overall, this is the right way to do it. She's not using her about page to sell herself even harder or to hide case studies or information that's essential to looking at her work, but it is about Veronica genuinely, and it has more of her personality. So you can see we have like she has tastefully used the framer tools and components and settings to add some fun charm to her site. But she's done it in the right space where it is not distracting from the case studies or the professional work, and that is a key thing. I will point out though that your work button does not go to your projects area, and it probably should go to your projects area.
Okay.
So that's my one thing. Okay, cool. Let's do it. Let's dive into the first case study here.
Real
Or do
fast.
you want to talk about even the composition of the case studies here, or just get into it?
Oh, I do want to talk about that, but before we piggyback away from about, because let's just put a bullet, we'll just finish up about real fast. What Tim is describing is we've talked about 3 target audiences: recruiters, hiring managers, and then future peers. The about page targets that third audience, future peers, and they have questions and qualms like, is Veronica fun to work with? If I share a cubicle wall with Veronica for 8 hours a day, is she going to make my life miserable? So it's that target audience that the about page is solving for, and the more personality you can add to your about page, the more effective you solve that problem, and that's why your about page is cool. Let's go to homepage case studies now. Veronica, case studies, dramatically more about storytelling than other facets that you might typically think. Go to the homepage and let's take a you got it. Well, so at the moment, let's just look at the titling of your case studies and the vocabulary used here. So you've got the very first one, Doco location-based app, led UX research and feature design for Doco, implementing 15 plus features, driving adoption among 50 plus students, student club leaders, and users. The description here, I think, is fantastic. You're describing some of the benefits and things that you have done with that particular app. The title of it, no storytelling whatsoever. I don't really care about Doco. I care about who you, Veronica, are as an individual and how you've gone about solving a particular problem. What I would love to do is rephrase your title here to what the benefit of the application is, or the benefit of what Veronica did to solve the problem. Let me just ask you real fast. If you were to describe like, hey, thanks to Veronica's effort working on Doco, what were the users able to achieve?
Well, for this app, yeah, the users were able to achieve like finding on-campus organizations and just building a better community, or like building a stronger community around people, meeting new clubs, meeting new people outside of school, maybe. But yeah, that was the goal of this app.
So just riffing off the top of my head, a title could be something like helping students find their people and organizations. Like that is already assisting in telling the story. What did Tim write here? Building user community through app design. And we're already getting closer. So let's just retitle your case studies to, like, we're looking for a hook. Why would somebody want to read this particular thing? An easy way to do that is just describe the benefit of that thing, and that entices somebody to read it.
Yeah, remember that the brand that you want to sell is Veronica's brand, not the Doco brand or the Mind Body Awareness Project or even Jobster. And so this is an opportunity for you to insert your brand here. Now, you don't necessarily need to delete Doco location-based app. You could keep this as subtext, or you could put it underneath or kind of above, as long as the hierarchy is correct, right? Making sure you keep good hierarchy of information here. But definitely include as the main title the essential reason of the why, and the what, and the like who this was for. So this will help me as a user inform which project I look at when I only have a little bit of time. So when we talk about writing things we want to talk about like what did you accomplish, how, or the why you did it. So this might be like talked about like you did via user research or to solve XYZ problem. And then also talk about the who it was for. This is the audience. And there's an awesome social effect that happens that when you read about another person or another group of people, you empathize with them more and you become a little bit more like them and you become a little bit more sympathetic to everyone involved. And so you can use this effect to kind of help say like, maybe I have a peer that I'm helping nonprofits or, SaaS. I might write for like who might be like startup SaaS, or like community nonprofit, meaning nonprofit doco, right? And then you're contextualizing and adding a little bit of empathy to who this audience is, and I become a little bit more like them. I start to read this through the lens and context of, oh, this was done for a community project. And so this changes automatically the way I look at this and how I grade it and how harsh I might be. Or if I put like it's for SaaS, I might say like, oh, like that informs like some of the branding decisions here. And I understand Veronica is versatile and she's now able to do, SaaS and nonprofit or whatever combination of audiences you have here. But you can speak to that and that will help you with a stronger positioning statement and a little bit of a better informed opinion about which of these I should choose. Because there's only a few and I only have a little bit of time.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I can change that for like all of my projects.
Veronica, there's more stuff we can say. One of the things that Tim and I try to do on these calls is describe and showcase the things that are most important for you to work on, and not all the things you could possibly work on. This is a good time to stop if you feel like you've got some actionables, or we can dive a little bit into a case study. But I am looking at the clock, and I'm feeling like this might be a good stopping point anyway. How are you feeling so far? Do you feel like you've got some solid takeaways?
I think I did definitely. I think just with also hearing the first person go, I think I'm also gonna work on my case study as well with how you guys reviewed hers. So I think I'm good so far. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, appreciate you hanging out with us. If you can, hang out a bit longer, and we'll likely dive into someone's case study in more depth in an upcoming review. Plenty more to talk about there, but the overall view is in regard to entry-level candidacy of your goals of entry-level candidacy. I think your case study is doing a lot of things correctly, and then we can talk about optimizing for tackling that role, and then potentially elevating it from junior up to mid, and so on. So love talking with you again. If you want to come back to another Friday, would love to chat again if you're feeling up for it.
Yeah, of course. I'll come by next Friday. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, appreciate the time. Next up, we've got Mochi Waffles, if you're still out there. I hope Mochi Waffles didn't take it personally, my perception of mochi cake, because what the heck kind of texture is that? Though I've never had a mochi waffle before.
Gelatinous waffles.
Yeah.
I've never had a mochi waffle before either.
Or floppy.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome, Mochi Waffles. Will you go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are, including what we should call you today, and some information about like your industry, your specific skill sets, what your focus is, and what your goals might be today.
Okay, so I recently graduated in October, and I did a master's in instructional design and e-learning, and I'm trying to like work as a learning experience designer, and I'm currently in my job search. So yeah, that's my goal, is to get hired.
All right. And can you tell us a little bit more about, you said you're working you did study as a instructional designer. Does that mean you'd like to be hired as an instructional designer?
Yeah, that kind of anything like related to that. Yeah.
Okay. And then do you have any specific idea of what kind of industry you might want to focus on? Like if there's a particular type of audience or type of company that you want to join or be a part of?
I don't really have a focus right now, since I'm more like targeting like junior type of jobs.
Okay.
What a fun portfolio.
What other questions do you have?
A lot of cool stuff going on here. This is great. What other questions do I have? Pivoting to UX, background instructional design, e-learning. Your goal is entry. Am I correct in saying your goal is to... Tim asked a question. It looked like your answer was, I want to continue looking in instructional design. But I also wrote down that you're looking to pivot into entry-level UX. Which one did I write down incorrectly?
Oh, I'm actually pivoting into instructional design.
Oh, from UX. Okay, cool.
No, from actually I studied biology before, so now I'm pivoting into instructional design.
That's Tim's world.
No
Tim,
way. I have a degree in biochemistry. It is a wild. It's crazy how people end up in certain places, and it's an awesome story. I'll have to talk shop with you about stuff because it is super relevant for what I do now, which is surprising to many people, including sometimes myself. But like still extremely relevant and has been a great benefit for my career. Um, Mochi waffles. What should we call you? Mochi waffles?
Oh, you can just call me Aya.
Okay. You might have to help me say that correctly. Io?
Yeah, Aya.
Io.
Io, pleasure to talk
I
with you
need,
here.
yeah, kick me in the shins if I say it wrong. Like truly,
Send him a
I do my
virtual kick.
best. I'm just terrible. I'm terrible with names. It is a huge fault in myself. It is not your fault. It is my fault. Um, okay. Io, as we talk today about your portfolio, do you want to focus on maybe your landing page and kind of a little bit of a kind of an overview, or would you like to spend more time maybe focused in a particular case study and talking about storytelling and the format there? I'd be curious to see what's valuable to you and some things that may help you decide is if you know already where you stand, like maybe you have applied to many jobs and people come to your website but don't really interview with you, or maybe you have had interviews with people and those interviews don't go anywhere. Where you fall in terms of your funnel may be worth considering as you choose whether you want to do a high level overview or if you want to get into a specific case study.
Okay. I only recently started applying for jobs with my portfolio, and I'm still working on it, so I don't have any of my case studies finished properly. So I just kind of like general overview and feedback.
Yeah, so Tim, I've been scrolling through here a bit. I can kick the ball, get the ball rolling, whatever the phrase is. Io, there's a lot of cool stuff. You're doing well here. When it comes to entry level UX candidacy or instructional design candidacy, like you're doing a lot of cool stuff. I should preface Tim and I don't have expertises in instructional design. Expertise? I don't know if it's a Latin root or not. So with that comes the preface that we can certainly talk about the page and what we think, but we're not the target audience nor the hiring managers who are focused in that particular area. So take everything we say here with a grain of salt, and you should challenge it with whomever else you want to speak with. Is that making sense?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool. You're doing a lot of stuff great, a lot of stuff really well that I would be looking for in a portfolio. You've got we in the last session we talked about the three target audiences a little bit. We covered them briefly. We've got the recruiter, hiring manager, future peers. My perception without going into more depth, my perception is that you're covering all of these fairly effectively with the caveat that you don't have case studies just yet. And once you get those case studies rounded out, then I think we're hitting all three of those audiences fairly effectively, with the assumption that you write those case studies well, of course. My overview of this is that you're kind of killing it and you should just keep going. Like there's no high level problem that I'm seeing here that we could talk about without like seeing the next iteration. There are certainly more optimization little things we can talk about, but it feels like it's cart before the horse because you're clearly still working on it. And I would rather just you keep working on it. How you feeling about that so far?
Um, yeah, that's okay.
Tim, feel free to
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree with Nate. Like, in terms of like broad strokes, like getting into what we're seeing, I'm seeing a lot of the right stuff already. We have you introducing yourself. I know that sounds so basic, but some people forget to introduce themselves. So we have you. You were talking about yourself here. I think maybe taking this statement here and adding a little bit more, as we saw here, we did with Veronica a little bit, where we're adding more context. We're getting into some of the details a little bit. We're adding a little bit more information up here that might help someone understand exactly who you are and coming from. I would love to see the job title that you're looking for listed on your website somewhere up here as well. Tell people, what professionally you do. So if you want to get an instructional designer role, put like, hi, I'm, Io. I do instructional design. I'm an instructional designer. Something to this regard. But when we get down here to case studies, we have like informative title cards here. We have good titles here in general. Like this is great. Inclusive gender education, empowering rural Indian youth through mobile first learning. That's a very descriptive title. That's a very good opinion. Um, it's possible this reads a little bit more like a blog because you're not listing any results or impacts. So maybe it's worth wordsmithing just a little bit so you can talk about like maybe the outcome or what you were able to achieve through this, not just exactly what it was. You have good tags in here that kind of identify things. I don't know if you need to put the date, but it's not wrong to put the date here either. When we get down here to more work, we have a couple of things that aren't necessarily as related. So you're saying your opinion is that these are the best ones. We would agree that it's good to have opinions that you're sharing with your user about what's best, what's not. You do have a very large footer. I don't know if something is missing here or if this is just the effect of you would like to switch people into dark mode, in which case it's kind of cool. It's a very big footer. And I think that's a very loud statement piece. And if that's the goal is to have a loud statement piece, you have accomplished it. Um, and then down here we have a little more about you, LinkedIn, email. Um, you have oh look, we have digital media learning designer down here. Remember to match your job title. Choose one or two job titles that are very related, like maybe instructional designer and learning designer, right? Something that's very similar, very related. Don't want to spread out too much. And then uh, your about page as well. I love the personality that's coming through and the additional information you have here. It's possible that maybe some of this information actually needs to be surfaced on your landing page. Uh, but at the same time, I'm glad that you have it on here, including some areas for design philosophy, some skills, etc. Just keeping in mind, of course, that people are most likely to not click on multiple web pages on your website. Like the drop off rate, basically the amount of people who are going to abandon your website before clicking on another web page is probably like 80 to 90% of people, unless you have a very high converting website. But most people are probably just going to look at one page. And so if there's anything you think is essential for them to know about you, you're going to have to put it on this first page. Otherwise, they will never discover it. And some of this information might be worth discovering on your homepage. But I'd agree with Nate. I think you just got to keep going. Some of it does feel finished, and some of it doesn't quite feel finished yet. Um, how do you what are you how are you feeling about this? Is there a particular area we can dive into more of those things that we've touched on so far?
It was more just the homepage that I was unsure about.
It looks great. It's got two things on it. It's got the value prop at the top. We could certainly iterate that. Tim talked about it a bit. Then it's got the case studies section. And those are the two most important sections of your homepage. You've got a third section down there. It's less important. It's the additional work section. But realistically, the only two sections that you need are there. And now it's just a matter of how much more flavor do you want to add? Io, you're killing it. I don't know that I have more feedback for you in its current state. When you've got some case studies, I'd love for you to come back and we can take a deep dive into those because that's really where the hiring managers are going to spend most of their time. And that's going to be the crux of the portfolio itself. Also the hardest part to write. Are you feeling okay coming back to us when you've got one or two of those we can take a look at?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Cool. I know Io is also one of the moons of Jupiter. I think one of the largest moons of Jupiter. Though I don't know if it's pronounced Io or Eo. It's the letters Io, and I don't know how to pronounce it.
There's some weird images. I don't think it's spelled this way.
It's
I
not.
don't.
It's the letters Io. But I think it's pronounced Io. I honestly don't know. Is it Eo? Chat, help me out. How is Io pronounced? Carl Sagan would be. Carl Sagan would scoff at me for not knowing how to pronounce it. For those who look at my background, this is a bust of Carl Sagan right here. Io, I don't know that I have any other feedback for you. How are you feeling so far, dude? I don't know if we've given you any actionables beyond just carry on. You're doing great. Come back to us when you've got a case study to take a look at. How are you feeling? Are you feeling okay stopping there and coming back to us in another Feedback Friday?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, another thing is I wasn't sure if the design is like it needs to be like more professional or something.
Ah, so what's the best way to describe this? My mind has all sorts of elevations on how to answer this question, and I'm trying to come up with the elevation by which is most effective. The correct answer to this question is it's as professional as how you want to build the perception of you. Everything boils down to positioning. And if you want to position yourself as a more whimsical product designer, lean into it and lean into it hard. Note that that positioning will exclude you from other opportunities. Like enterprise folk will typically lean away from more silliness, but know that every positioning excludes you from some candidacy. So now it's just a matter of where you want to position yourself. If you're comfortable, like this silliness here positions you great for smaller freelance efforts, for example, more like where you can deal directly with the owner of the organization. Those folk love a lot more personality. Creative agencies also love a lot more personality. If your goal is to target those folk, then your current positioning's doing okay. If your goal is to target enterprise, we may want to lean into more enterprise level aesthetic. How you feeling about that?
Yeah, that makes sense. I was just unsure because I think most jobs are kind of in the corporate space, so I wasn't sure how to go about it.
It's all a sliding scale of advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with having some fun on your website. It does show a little bit of personality. One thing I will point out, and I don't know if it is, but if this is a template, just be prepared that people who look at lots of job applications are likely to see this template from someone else. And so if this is a template, which I don't know if it is, but if this was based on a template or this is a template, it may accidentally out you as being looking a lot like someone else's work, or being the perception of this is just someone using a template rather than putting their own work out there. So just kind of watch out for that, because people who have to review jobs look at a lot of jobs. For your job application journey as well, uh, we inspire. We'd hope that you'd have courage. Uh, don't get too discouraged. It is hard to apply to jobs. It takes a lot of time and effort. It takes lots of mental toughness, and the amount of jobs you have to apply to can be obscenely high sometimes. That can be like hundreds to even thousands of jobs before you start to see real effort and sort of like the impact of that happen. Um, and just know that it's not your fault that it is that way, right? It is not a measure of your worth or your value that it takes a lot of job applications to get interviews. Although there's certainly something there in about maybe how you communicate and the quality of your materials that can sometimes improve that ratio, uh, which of course would come down to like making sure this position reflects you, like having like your job title appear quickly, maybe making some of your stuff a little bit less, going from broad to specific. So like I transform complex problems into inclusive performance-based learning experiences that drive measurable impact. This statement mirrors a lot of what other people might write in their portfolio. This could be probably copy pasted onto lots of portfolios, in which case this is not doing a very good job of differentiating you. So making statements here that are a little more differentiating, or that are very specific, or include like your specific history and what helps you stand apart, could be things that are good wins there. And I think that's all stuff that happens as you mature and as you continue to build out some of this stuff, as you choose your battles, like Nate said, as you start to have these case studies ready, you can make some choices. And Nate, she does have a couple of case studies here. She has two or three that I think are built out fully. So uh, definitely some material to kind of get into. Oh, I guess we'll say still coming, but some of these are ready already. definitely some materials to work with and some opinions that have been made.
Io, appreciate you hanging out with us today. I'm looking at the clock. We've got to skedaddle off to the next one. You feel like you've got a takeaway or two?
Yeah, definitely.
Io, appreciate you hanging out with us. All right, next on the
Thank you.
list, we've got cloudHi. Now, as Tim finds you out there, this will be the last design review I have time for today. We're at the final 30 minutes of our show. It's possible Tim will have enough time for one other, though I have to take off at top of the hour, if not slightly earlier. So appreciate all you folks being here. We do this, if you didn't get a chance to have your asset looked at today, feel free to join us every Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Show up 10 minutes early and make sure your link is one of the first on the list that way. Otherwise, high chance we won't get to you by the time you're able to add your link. We have a YouTube channel. It's linked somewhere. You think I've got it still in my clipboard? There's a YouTube link. Ah, nice. Look at that. We have a YouTube channel. Subscribe to that. You'll get access to all the future streams as well as all the past events if you feel like going back in time. By the way, all of our past events are labeled with the people we reviewed. So if you want to, like, if you've had 3 reviews with us, just search our channels for your username and you can find all 3 of those videos really quickly. And that's the spiel. Nadir, welcome back, man.
Thank you. How are you doing?
Doing well. Doing well. My cup of tea is almost empty, and that means it's time to close the stream, right?
Yeah. Should be a quick one.
Yeah, we've chatted before. I don't remember some of the
Yeah.
details. Give us some, and for the chat, give us some context of who you are and what's the problem you're trying to solve.
Yeah, I'm Nadir, front-end web developer from Algeria, and I'm just here like to see if what I modified is any better than the last time you reviewed my portfolio, and get some more advice. I don't have anything to say. Sorry.
Give us some more context here. I'm hearing front-end developer. Are you applying for
Yeah.
jobs right now?
No, I'm actually like trying to do freelance work.
Freelance. Got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is this page that we're looking at, is this your freelance marketing page that promotes your business?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've got some. We can dive into the details today then, the SEO part of
Sure.
it too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'll run this in the background for.
I don't know what Tim's doing, but I'm excited to see it. Ah.
Me too.
We'll do some testing for you.
Now, Nadir, if I recall correctly, I think
Yeah.
we talked about it last time, but the hurdle, the friction point that Tim and I have when it comes to reviewing products that are showcased to the general public, like a marketing
Mm-hmm.
webpage, is that we don't have deep understanding of your target audience, your marketing goals, your business strategy, all of those talking points that require deeper conversations, right? So we're only able to look at
Yeah,
some
yeah.
real high level stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, it's okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's dive into this. Okay, so Nadir, how do you already have freelance roles and contracts?
No, I don't have.
Okay. So we're starting relatively fresh. Okay. So when it comes to composition of a website, there's gonna be 2 parts of it. There is the human side of it, which is the people who have to read this as a story. And then there will
Mhm.
also be the machine side of it, which is how does it get ranked? How does it perform? What kind of information is getting parsed out of it, schemas, etc.
Yep.
We'll focus first a little bit on the story side of it, but uniquely for you because you need to be discovered organically. You need people to find you. And because you're being hired contract as a front end web developer, you're going to need to show more SEO proficiency than normal portfolios would. You're also in a position where you're not really building a portfolio, you are building a marketing page. So this is also a change, is that you need to market yourself, not just portfolio yourself.
Yep. All right.
Your page, your website is one page, is that correct?
Yeah.
It is currently mobile responsive, which is awesome. That's a good win. Dear friend and web developer, especially Nate, how do you feel about his value proposition up here at the top?
Ooh, I think the value prop is the largest area of opportunity for you, Nadir. Did we talk about this value prop section last time?
Yeah, I actually didn't have this value thing before.
Oh, you didn't have any of this section before. It's all new.
Yeah. I didn't have no.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So the value prop that you've written here, or I struggle to even call it a value. I mean, there's some value propery in there somewhere. The friction point with the value prop is that it's currently selling to other developers and tech enthusiasts. Like, for example, I specialize in building Shopify storefronts for an e-commerce business. I don't know what that means. I sell shoes in my storefront outside of the mall. Like, I don't know what the heck Shopify is. So now it's a matter of narrowing down the target audience and better communicating with that target audience. For example, if we were to take that statement, I specialize in building Shopify storefronts for e-commerce businesses, we could just reword that entire thing to sell your products online. And now we're communicating with what your target audience could potentially understand. We are describing exactly the benefit of your service and not what the service is. People buy benefits. They don't buy the service. And there are all kinds of sales messages we could write there that directly indicate you sell Shopify. Now it's just honing down the messaging. But the long story short is this homepage is a portfolio page. It doesn't need to be. This should be a sales presentation page that's dedicated to instructing the person who wants to buy your services who you are, what you do, how much your services cost, and what's the benefit they receive when they buy your services. That was a lot of words. How you feeling about that?
Yeah.
I'm also going to take the position, Nadir, that because you are in a position where you need to sell a product and an outcome from a freelance perspective, instead of being hired full-time, you should pivot into productizing yourself more. So we have right here at the very front, we have a logo, we have Nadir, we have front-end web developer.
Yeah.
This is a very person-based area, when maybe what we're looking for is more of a product-based area, right? We're looking to sell, like if we consider you a product, this is the brand name. Have you ever gone to a website and it says, "Hi, I'm Target," or "Hi, I'm Walmart"? Probably not. They usually start with get the service you need, like buy shoes really fast from Amazon, or like find anything you need for this Christmas, right? It's more product contextualized for what people are looking for. So that's what Nate is describing here is, like maybe a better way to introduce this is like sell anything you want online. And then you have here like Nadir specializes. Nadir, so we're going to change this. Nadir specializes in building Shopify storefronts for e-commerce experiences. And maybe I'm not even sure if front end web development really matters.
It doesn't.
You might say here like you might want to include it maybe down here. I've lost the text here. But maybe you'll include like front, might go like front end web. Web. I can spell development for, and then you might say like your target audience, right?
Yeah.
So you might go something like that. I swear I can spell. This
Tim,
is crazy.
if you're feeling fancy, I pasted a sales prompt or sales message in the chat. It's a different direction than you're taking it. So feel free to like continue with your thought and then come back to mine if you want.
I do see that. So building high converting websites to make your products impossible to scroll past. I think it's a little bit too clickbaity. I think you should go a little more grounded. Nadir, you should know what kind of audience you want. So if you're building Shopify storefronts, probably, I mean, you're gonna have to figure out who is gonna buy that service, whether it's gonna be like mom and pop businesses, small businesses, medium businesses, people who are growing or going up in their sales, or maybe that is like businesses that are medium that need to add a Shopify system, or people who need to amend their current Shopify implementation, you're going to have to figure out exactly who is your target audience and then start speaking to and marketing in that direction and vein. And once you have that, you'll need to update some of your language here. So like you have an image here, which is very nadir. It's very nadir
Yeah.
focused here. You're probably going to want
Yeah.
some images though. You're probably going to want something that's a little bit more persuasive. So I'm going to put this in the chat. There's something I call the JJJ, which is the jolt, the journey, the jackpot. And I've talked about this before, but the jolt is basically the thing that gets people's attention. It needs to be something relevant and something powerful that basically captures their attention, the hook. And this can be the way something looks. It can be a very powerful statement. It's essentially something that gets people's attention, and they're convinced to the Johnny Jackson. It is it's the thing that gets their initial attention. And then the journey is you bring them along and help them see the value, right? So if we look at just your front section, the jolt, journey, jackpot, your jolt right now is this dinosaur with sell anything you want online. The dinosaur may not be a great jolt for you. You might want a different jolt, something that is a little more powerful or is more like coded for the kind of things that people are going to be expecting. Then you have your sell anything online. Now your journey is front end web development for this type of person. We're telling them who it is. You specialize in building storefronts for experiences. See your sales, increase by mega 100x fold, right? Or something like that, where you're telling them the story along the way. And now for the jackpot's got to be your CTA. You got to make your jackpot be the rewarding CTA that tells them like you're doing the right thing. So this is where you are probably going to need to improve the CTAs to be that product thing. So instead of saying hire me, which hiring someone is a lot of work, it's painful. We want to say like build your storefront, right? Or something the effect of like the outcome people want. Build your storefront, or go online with Shopify, right? Something to this effect.
I would argue book a consultation.
For my work, you could do that. You could do book consult. I would have that as you could totally do that. That's valid too. I think it's a little bit more powerful when you include your outcome though, versus something that might be a little bit difficult or painful to do. Even though this will ultimately result in a book consultation. For my work, you're probably going to want to frame this a little bit more business centric. So like maybe like case studies or like previous work, or maybe you talk about like stores already built. Basically putting it through the lens of like if someone is not willing to book a consultation, what is the thing that they need to know about? And maybe that is stores need to be built already, or maybe it's like see flexible pricing, right? Pricing could be the biggest pain point for people. So you might want to like anticipate that and say like, yeah, I know you're not going to click this because you're worried about the pricing. So the next thing I'll give you is that flexible pricing option. Something that ravine that will help people feel validated and captured. You've given them a good jolt, you've given them a little bit of a journey, and now you're going to give them the reward is they get the thing that they want. Give them the thing that they want here. When you are featuring your projects, I also have a sense that people are not going to want to have to click into some of these projects. You're probably going to showcase them a little more here. And so that could mean you just make them bigger. Yes. Just like this.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Right. So but basically showcasing that work, making it a little more visual, keeping in mind that probably, and I don't know for sure, but probably your target audience, they're going to be a little bit timid. They're going to be exacting. So you need to show the details. You're going to need to make sure you're like very precise and you're able to show your work and you're not hiding anything. Your tech stack is great. It just may go over the head of people, right? You might need to spend time talking about instead like your methodology, your process, how it works, kind of these questions that people are going to have before they want to hire you, before they want to get in here. And then an about me section, you're going to want to make sure it reads as professional and as trustworthy as possible. And I'm sorry for everyone else who's 20 years old. 20-year-old people are not generally trustworthy. They're not the people that you'd want to give the keys of the kingdom to, right? There's like, and then I think that's like cultural, right? So we often think of them as
Yeah,
like a little bit more like not that there's anything wrong with you for being 20 years old, but just having it as your identifier may potentially invalidate some of the trust. And so you might want to talk about this from like a more professional standpoint. It's like Nadir. Nadir, aka cloudHi, is a front end developer
yeah,
from Algeria, specializing in making. So like this is pretty good. Themes with Liquid.
yeah.
That's pretty cool. You talk a little bit more about your process, maybe what got you into it, things that basically increase people's trust and their ability to want to work with you. You'll probably need to update your hobbies a little bit so it's a little bit more coded for the audience rather than
Okay.
peers, right? Because a peer is not going to hire you, right? If I'm already a front end developer, I'm probably not going to hire another front end developer to do the job I was going to do. You're probably instead looking for business owners or people in that adjacent space who want validation that you are the right person, you're professional. So you're probably going to want something here that speaks to that. Some hobbies that build credibility here. You may also want to be careful about signifying your newness to the industry. That can be a thing. Not that you should lie, but just being careful about that. I don't know what else do you got here, Nate. Nate has a marketing background. So I've been talking, but I think Nate probably has the highest value here.
There are a lot of conversations we could have about marketing and positioning your site, and all of those things boil down to, well, we have to have a bunch of other conversations first, like target market, constraints, business strategy, marketing appeal, audience perception, all of that, right? There are so many different paths we could talk about.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the clock, and I have to take off from this call slightly early. So instead, what I want to do is I want to enable you to have the tools that you can at least move forward with. And the first one I want to talk about here is PostHog. Are you familiar with PostHog?
No.
Tim, I'm going to take over the screen. I see you've got PostHog up. I'm logged in and everything. I'm going to take over. Entire screen. So here are the.
You've been disconnected.
Wait, hang on. I got a left monitor. There it is. You can see stuff now, theoretically.
Yeah.
Cool.
Correct.
This is PostHog.
Sure.
PostHog is an analytics tool, and there are many different analytics tools out there. Framer comes with its own, Google Analytics, of course, being the most prominent and notable out there. The reason Tim and I like to talk about PostHog is because they have a lot of access for free that they're just willing to provide to you, and it's relatively easy to use. Google Analytics, also free, higher learning curve. You should also dive into that as well. There are a couple of things within PostHog here I want to showcase, and one, the most prominent one is we have this behavior section under all apps. And we've got these other analytics as well, all important, but check out session replays. So the goal here is Tim and I are going to hang up this phone call in 10 minutes, and then you're on your own again to continue your marketing and to continue to position yourself. These are the tools that you can then utilize to carry on and iterate. And if we go to session replay, this is just my own website. We're physically watching somebody now. This is a recording of somebody using my website, so I can watch the behavior. And there are other cool things in PostHog as well. There's heat mapping in here. There's error tracking. All kinds of cool shenanigans in here that assists with you marketing and positioning your site. How you feeling about that so far? You feel like you've got some capability to integrate something like PostHog into your site totally free?
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna use it. Yeah.
At least get started with
it's
it.
free, right?
Yeah, it's a freemium service, so you can also pay for the additional stuff. But they provide a lot of value for free, which is very cool. Is that all I want to talk about? Is that it? The friction I have is there's so much marketing stuff we could talk about that I don't know what's the most important for you to talk about right now, and that's the conundrum that I'm having. I think in regard to your next steps, that's a good place to start. Neil Patel, I haven't looked at this guy in a long time.
I've got some stuff for you in here. We're going to talk about SEO for a second. Once.
Tim, so sorry to cut you off. Nadir, I've got to take off. Really appreciate you hanging out with me today. Tim's going to take over, and he's going to lead you the rest of the way.
Yeah. Okay. See ya.
let us talk about SEO and how SEO works. So SEO, I think everyone knows is search. It's search engine optimization, right? And then there's also something called GEO, which is generative engine optimization, and then there's AEO, which is like AI engine optimization. And so the difference is like if I ask ChatGPT something, and it gives me an answer for you. Like if I say, "Hey, I need a front end web developer to help me with my Shopify experience," and it suggests Nadir, that is GEO. If I go to here and I say front end developer for Shopify, all of this is SEO. And then if I use Search Assist right here, where it gives me this little auto answer, this is the AEO part of it. So you've got 3 competing engines that you need to just be aware of. SEO is going to be the one you can control the most. AEO and GEO will follow this. And this becomes important whenever you need to market yourself organically and you need to basically control it. So we're going to talk about your structure of your website. There is something called a schema, metadata for your website. This controls basically how the internet sees and crawls your website. And so right here we have a title, we have a description, we have a URL. We're also going to test this here. We're going to go to Open Graph. Open Graph. I can open this graph. Track those cookies. Check your website. We're actually going to do that. Check again. Okay. So when we look at your website for Shopify stuff, what we see is I think just this. There's no Open Graph title found. Description is too short. So we are seeing just this. We're missing a ton of data. Now I'll open mine up just so you can compare it. Actually, it's, oh my goodness. So my Open Graph looks like this, right? So it's got my image here. I've got some information here. It's got my website. I've got my title that shows up. For yours, we're missing that image and we're missing probably the optimization of the title, right? If I wanted to click on a Shopify web developer, I probably am not clicking on Nadir's portfolio. I instead want to click on something that leads into that product boost here. So that's one thing we're going to notice right away is that your title probably needs to be optimized. We need to optimize it to your audience. Description wise, we also want to edit your description to basically be for SEO purposes. And so this can kind of look a little bit weird when we look at description. So like my description right now is lead UX product designer building cross specializing, right? And then I have a CTA, view selected work. This is a certain number of word count. So when I search for, I guess I don't have that search open anymore, but if I go to Shopify, when I search anything in here, you notice that there's these little previews that appear here, right? And so this is the description that shows up. So you want it to be a compelling description that gives at least enough information about someone that they want to click on your website. I wonder if anyone will appear as a Shopify developer in these search results. But you know, so these descriptions are all meant and intended to like communicate value about this title. And so even though this is the retailexecutive.com, he doesn't have retailexecutive.com here. He has the name of the outcome people are looking for. So these are going to be some suggestions for your particular SEO. Now, you're also going to want to go through and make sure you have a canonical. That's really important too. Probably robots text. It's going to be great. Your headings. So the reason I'm going to mention your headings, if you go to seo.com/tools-SEO checker, anyone can do this, by the way. If you're using Framer or etc., you can use this tool. You can go here. This helps you identify things that are wrong with the structure of your SEO. When you have bad structure in your SEO, Google and other engines will not crawl your website, and they'll crawl up poorly. So it's good to have this kind of figured out. So we're violating this. We have more than one H1 tag, and we also need it to be structured in such a way that if an AI or a tool is crawling this website, they know exactly what your website is. So this is pretty good. We've got Hi, I'm Nadir, front end web, front end projects. Some of this is pretty good. This H3 kind of falls apart just a tiny bit since it's multiple sentences inside the same thing. But your H1 at the end probably needs to be just an H2 instead of that. We are missing a mechanical tag. We have alt images. That's great. I think you only have one image though, right? Or one
I think
image.
two, right?
I guess this is a Shopify. This is a Shopify image.
Mm-hmm.
That I think it's the 2 images you've got. So that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. You have your alt text setup or external links. You are missing your schema. Schema is really important. You can ask any AI to basically help you write the schema. It basically calls in universal JSON format that basically tells websites a little bit about who you are and some additional metadata information that can help categorize your website. It does not need to be super comprehensive or super long. It just needs to be enough. So if we look at yours, I'll open the console. If I'm looking here, we've got the head, we've got the body, we've got all your stuff in here, but we're missing that schema. If I open mine, and we'll go to the same thing. If I go in here, I have some scripts in here. Where's my schema? I think my schema is at the very end. So you just include it somewhere at the end here. Somewhere. Jeez, I'm doing a live demo and I can't even find my schema. Somewhere in here is a schema, and that schema literally is just like a bunch
It
of.
should be there, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of stuff. And so you open this up, schema, it'll format like this, right? So we have in the JSON, we have an object for type, ID, name, job title, etc. Hopefully I'm not doxing myself too bad. Oh my goodness, my postal address is in Arizona.
Oh, no.
All this kind of stuff, right? So we've got all this information here that kind of can tell people there's probably too much in there. I need to go reduce it. That will help you get found. Now, page speed insights, I'm sure you know about. Just making sure you have this up to date, which is awesome. You've got incredible performance across your website. No issues here.
Thank you.
SEO checker, obviously you've got some things to work with, including a sitemap in your robots text. That's important. Uber suggests, if you haven't heard about this, what it lets you do is connect Google Analytics to your web. Well, if you have Google Analytics set up, connect to Google Analytics. I won't open it here, but you can go to Google Analytics and Google Search Console. Google Search Console and Google Analytics are really important to have for your website. Set those up for your website and then go to a place like Ubersuggest. Connect your website through Ubersuggest. This will help you identify what keywords need to be on your website for people to feel convinced to click on your website. And this will help you basically identify, like, do you have the right keywords on here? Are you going to show up? Do you look competitive across other people? Now, because you're a relatively small freelance business, I don't think you can really compete too aggressively with some like those huge agencies that are fighting. But you can at least follow some of the best practices and kind of mimic them in some degree. That will increase your effectiveness and your basically your authority as a website. And this will also help shape how you're directing yourself. I will stop there, but how do you feel about any of that?
I don't know, like I'm going to have to do a lot of work to change this portfolio because it's changed like it's primarily for like freelancing, but I'm also looking for a job. So how do I deal with that?
Yeah, so the honest answer is that if you're freelancing is a different type of job, is a different type of like product that you need to sell versus getting a full-time role, which is also different from like having a productized service model. With that in mind, you'll probably need different web pages for that, right? You'll need a website that is specifically for your freelance work or your like productized service work, and you'll need one that's better for getting a full-time job. And that's because you have to speak to different audiences. You have to show different skills. That is just the nature. That's the nature of that beast. So one that does all of them is not going to be your friend. You'll need different ones that do different roles, so you can focus across those. That's my final answer. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think this website, if I like keep it as it is for a portfolio of finding job and I make another one for freelancing, is this like a good portfolio for a job?
If you are trying to get a full-time role at a company as a full-time role,
yeah,
I would expect to see more skills on here. So I know. So I think it's
Mm-hmm.
good that you focused on Shopify storefronts. I might add some
Yeah.
other things in here that also increase your versatility. And then I would also want to see again, maybe more work, right? More examples of this work that you've done here.
Yeah, I'm working on one.
Uh,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
then I guess maybe just beefing up some. We worked at this, looked at this from such a different lens from a full time role. So I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
be careful to apply any of the feedback that we just gave you if you're trying to get a full time role. This is all
Mm-hmm.
from the lens of focusing on freelance and productizing your own service. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I get it. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. All right, Nadir. That is a lot of information for you, though. I hope it is.
it is.
I hope it's
Mm-hmm.
valuable for you. I hope you got some good stuff in there. And if you want to talk shop more about some of this next time, or come back and look at this with a different lens, let's do that too.
Yeah,
We love having you on here. But I will go
sure.
ahead. I think we are in a position where we are going to close up shop today. We're going to close up Feedback Friday. Uh, we appreciate everyone being here. We're again grateful. Nate has posted the YouTube stream in here like 100 times already. We are on YouTube. You can watch these back if you got your portfolio reviewed today. You can look at other reviews that we've done in the past as well. We sometimes, I think there's ideas that might clip some of these so that you can find your own a little bit faster and better. But we're again grateful for everyone being here, and have a great Friday.